Preparing on the sunny day. Today on Fortitude through Stoicism, and this is my 365-day journey of implementing the ancient philosophy of Stoicism into the life of this modern masculine man. Another quote, again, this is about fortitude and resilience, preparation. I've beat this almost to exhaustion. Stephen Covey, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Believe it's chapter 5, Sharpening the Saw. The 4 quadrants. Quadrant 2, planning, preparation, relationship building. If you spend the majority in that quadrant, you will not have the fires that other people have. You will not be the time wasters. You will not be those people doing busy work pretending like you're doing things important. You will actually have a plan in place so that when you do execute, it's efficient, it's effective. Abraham Lincoln, if you give me 7 days to cut down the cherry tree, I'm going to spend the first 6 days doing what? Sharpening the axe. A stitch in time will save 9. The OG, Ben Franklin himself, my man. All these successful people talk about preparation. So Seneca, here's a lesson to test your mettle. Mind's mettle. Take part of the week in which you only have the most meager and cheap food. Dress scantily in shabby clothing. No amenities. No frills. And ask yourself, is this really that bad? Is this worse than you feared? It is when times are good that you should gird yourself for the tougher times. For when fortune is kind, the soul can build defenses against her ravages. So it is with soldiers practice maneuvers in peacetime. Of course we do. We erect bunkers with no enemies in sight, exhausting themselves under no attack. Why? So that when the time does come, they will not grow tired. So the lesson here is, what if you did spend a day, a month, experiencing the effects of poverty, hunger, isolation, other things you may have feared, rejection, public scorn, what else do we fear? But if you immerse yourself in those things, after the initial shock, wouldn't it start to feel normal? That's what we just described, right? Remember, growth happens outside the comfort zone. And once you live outside the comfort zone, it's not that bad. Now your comfort zone grows further. And now you live out there again. Oh my God, now I'm used to it. Now my comfort zone goes bigger. That is growth. That is a visual representation of how growth happens when we're talking about comfort and fear. There are plenty of misfortunes that one can practice. I go in the sauna. I go in the cold. I do all of these things to push myself. Again, I use the reference all the time. It's better to be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war. So what does that mean? If, as a warrior, I am always preparing for war, but in peacetime I'm in my garden. Alternatively, I never prepare for war, and now all of a sudden I'm in a war. Right? Logically, what makes more sense? So for me, there's no mistake. I've talked about this. I'm a Marine. I'm a soldier. I've been in one-on-one sports, jiu-jitsu, you name it. It doesn't matter. I test my mettle. I'm a warrior. You win some, and you get some scars and some others, right? But that's how you know what you're worth. But is it really that bad? So I continue. How else can we put ourselves at disadvantage? This is what discipline looks like for me. Like if you live on a budget, that is pretending like I don't have all this excess money. That is preparing for disadvantage. It's too late when you're already there, because then you're in it. It's not voluntary. It's reactionary. It's not preparedness. It's being reactionary. Seneca reminds us, it is precisely in the times of immunity from care that the soul should toughen itself beforehand for occasions of greater stress. We lift weights, put stress on our body to make ourselves stronger so that we can endure more. It's really what it is. If you would not have a man flinch when the crisis comes, train him before it comes. You prepare for war. So again, why do they yell at you in boot camp? Why do they make, put you under time constraints? Why do they do all this? Newsflash, they're creating the effects of the fog of war. They're not being dicks. They're not on this power trip. Drill instructors, notice that drill instructors, drill instructors, Marine Corps drill instructors, not drill sergeants, they are meant to prepare you for war. It starts day one. It really does. There's a basis you have to get through. How do we stand together, march together, talk the same language? But really all that other stuff is to how do I operate in the midst of chaos, in the fog of war? That's when a crisis happens. A crisis is chaos. It's out of the norm. It's out of control. That is how you carry yourself, is when you are prepared for that stuff. So if I train for that when it actually happens, no big deal. Why do you think soldiers are always preparing? I can't tell you how many times we put on tourniquets. Practice over and over and over and over and over and over. Tourniquet, 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 tourniquet. Why? Because when one of your buddies has got a fucking squirter and you're freaking out, you've got to be able to act in that crisis. That is why we practice that over and over and over and over again, so that when it does come time, I know where it is, I know what to do, I know how to cinch that fucker down. I know what to do because I've practiced it in peacetime, so that when war comes, I'm ready. That's really that. And if you look at what the military does, we can do the same thing in our own personal lives. I do it to myself. Again, I put myself in those disadvantaged situations. Budget, food, whatever, resources, limit them. I talk about, you saw it, I wore my boots till I put a hole in them. Frugality. Cato used to do it. Cato the Younger used to walk through. Some say he did it for political grandstanding, but he wanted to know what it felt like to be poor. So he would walk barefoot with no coat in the middle of winter through Rome so he could understand. Take us back in a philosophical sense where Plato talks about ideology, right? But Aristotle points at the ground. He's talking about observation and experience. How can I possibly know what it's like to be poor unless I've actually been in those situations where I don't have shoes on my feet, I don't have a coat on, I don't have a belly? I talk about this all the time. I mean, you guys probably don't see my social media, but I travel. Shit, sometimes I don't get a hotel room. Sometimes I don't sleep. Still got to operate. It's because I prepare myself to be able to do these things, so when it does come, it's not a big deal. Look at me. I look like shit. I haven't slept I don't even know what day it is. Thursday? I know I didn't sleep last night. And the one before that was a little rough too. So, it's not fun. I'm not flexing. But it's my responsibility. I'm held accountable to the results I'm supposed to deliver. It doesn't matter all the rest of it's noise. I'm not going to make excuses. I'm going to deliver, and then I'm going to make up my sleep deficit later. That's what it is. But I'm prepared. And I'm preparing on a sunny day so that when it does rain, I know what to do. And on that, we're going to get to it.